All right, let's see how this one works. We're back here on Armchair Analysis Saturday morning, week one preview. It's time. And BJ's here this time, so even better. Those of you who don't know what we're talking about, you won't because you can't see it. Oh, it'd help if you could hear him. There we go. BJ, it is week one, Saturday
Yes, it
morning.
is.
Coach Corso's final show. We'll talk about that as we go today. Um, but first off, man, I want to know how you're doing today.
Well, I'd be honest if I wanted to say that I've been better, but hey, we got a holiday and the fact that college football is back for, every team playing this weekend.
You know,
So,
Labor Day weekend's truly a two holiday weekend. You know, you get college
mm-hmm,
football coming back, and then you get the actual Labor Day holiday. It's kind of nice.
mm-hmm,
It's kind of nice. I
it
can get
is. I
behind it.
mean, everybody always talks about it as the end of summer, but there is, a certain truth to that. But there is also, the, some of the, I, you know, some of the iconic matchups that we're getting this weekend we don't normally get. We usually get some pretty big matchups, but just looking around at the scope of what we've got on campus this
Yeah.
weekend, some of these games would have been neutral sites back 10, 15 years ago. So I think that we have evolved and we are, truly to the point where uh, we're treating this as the appreciation of college football played on campus as it was meant to be played, especially knowing that, a good majority of the postseason is going to be played in those neutral site atmospheres.
Yeah. We've got a we've got an incredible day of football ahead of us. We've got so many storylines,
Yes, we do.
so many things to talk about. But I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the last couple of nights before we get going into what is to come. And I don't want to spend a lot of time on it because, well, I spent a bunch of time on Thursday as it was. But let's go through Thursday a little bit, okay? You got some very interesting games. We saw Wisconsin with a 17-0 win over Miami, Ohio. They didn't look good. Obviously, Billy Edwards goes down. He is expected to return for the Alabama game. That means he will miss next week. Um, That's interesting. That's yet another year of the Luke Fickell era with a quarterback injury early in the year.
Yeah.
A bit of an unfortunate situation there. But again, a speedy recovery is what we always wish for, and to see him return again against Alabama. You had Minnesota with a win over Buffalo, 23-10, a pretty solid game there. We got to see UCF in Jacksonville State. We saw NC State hang on late against East Carolina, 24-17 victory over there in Raleigh. Rutgers just hangs on against Ohio in what was a heroic third quarter from Parker Navarro and the Ohio offense. And then the story of the night was South Florida absolutely waxes Boise State in Tampa. I mean, that was probably the story of the night. I mean, if we had to pick one, I think that's the story of the night, Thursday night.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those, kind of out of left field results, if you will. I don't know. There were a whole lot of people that were expecting to see what we saw from not just Boise in that game, but from South Florida. Alex Galesh, this is year three for him, and look at what he has potentially built up. There was not a whole lot of love for the Bulls in this game, but we know that they've been competitive and been able to win games like these here, most of the last couple of years, and they finally get the big boy and they get the victory. So credit where credit's due. South Florida, I don't know if I necessarily think that they will be a team that will stick around and be talked about as a uh, playoff uh, caliber team, but there are a lot of questions that have to be asked now about Boise as well, and how big of a loss with Ashton Ginty going pro after last season. How big of a loss is that for this Boise unit, and can they figure out what they are post Ginty to be competitive again and salvage their chances of being in contention? The Mountain West, Tyler, looks wide open, and obviously with
It looks bad.
yeah,
Let's call it what
yeah,
it looked
yeah,
bad after the first whatever you want to call it of week 0 and week 1. The Mountain West
mhm,
looks flat out bad.
Yep.
There's not much other way to say that. UNLV kind of redeemed themselves a little bit last night, but all in all, it's not looking good. Boise, Max Matson threw 46 passes on Thursday night. He'd thrown 40 passes in a game one other time in his career, and that was last year against Oregon. And that did obviously that game, they lost that game by 3 thanks to a heroic Ashton Jeanty effort then too. But it's not a good look right now for the the Mountain West. Wyoming beats Akron 10-0. I mean that's probably the ugliest game of the weekend so far when you look at that one.
Well, well.
I,
I think we've had a couple of contenders in that department. When we get to Friday, I know there's one for sure that you could put in that category.
okay, we're gonna act like that game didn't happen because I've been kind of a shill for Jake Dickert, and we'll go ahead and talk about Friday. A 10-9 win over Kennesaw State yesterday.
For Wake Forest.
Yeah. The defense was okay. They struggled early. They looked like shit early. But they kind of put it together, started figuring themselves out defensively. They had trouble against the up tempo style that Kennesaw runs. I mean, and Kennesaw State runs when we talk about fast paced offenses. That's one of the fastest teams I've seen from in terms of play to play. And the Wake offense just never looked good. Robbie Ashford, I think we've officially confirmed is not a starting quarterback at the Power 5 level. I don't know when we got this idea that he ever was. But I certainly don't believe that that Robbie Ashford is gonna last the full season. I could see, as a matter of fact, that probably not going much further than the next 2 weeks. Do you two mind? What are we doing? Lay down. Relax. I know. You're bored. But anyways. Yeah, an ugly game last night there in Winston-Salem. And we haven't talked about any Friday games, obviously, because today is the first day since Friday. We saw Illinois with what we expected. Kansas did what we expected against Wagner. Get rid of some of these FCS matchups. FIU beat Bethune-Cookman 42-9. We expected that. UNLV 38-21 victory over Sam Houston. Good for them. Michigan State 23-6 win over Western Michigan. They lost the cover on a pick 6 from the backup quarterback.
Oh,
They lost the cover.
jeez.
Tarleton State with
Tarleton State.
maybe the upset of the day yesterday. 30-27.
The only upset, right? So
as far as I'm aware, I mean, well, no, Central Michigan was an upset by Vegas odds standards.
Oh. Okay.
But Tarleton State 30-27 win over Army, who walked into this game as a couple touchdown favorite, and they were interesting to say the least yesterday. But they controlled it. Trey Page is a guy that is going to play Power 4 ball before his career is over. I'm calling that now. I think that he might be one of the best running backs in FCS right now. He might be. That would be certainly interesting to figure out, but he's definitely up there in that category, in that conversation early on. He's only a freshman, by the way, so he's got plenty of time to develop and become even better. But he looks really good. App State over there in Bank of America Stadium dominates Charlotte 34-11. It was not close at all. That was a good start. AJ Swan, look, this is a guy that's got SEC experience. People looked at App State and said, "Hey, look, don't know how much they're going to compete." I'm one of them who said I don't really know what they're going to look like for Doyle Logan's year one. What I found is that AJ Swan is a hell of a quarterback at that level, and they're going to be just fine. And as a matter of fact, they have a trip, if I'm not mistaken, last year. Boise came to town. They go on the road to Boise this year, and
wow. Well, after what we saw on Thursday, it's possible that we could see
a App State win on the Smurf turf. Who knows? Central Michigan beat San Jose State 16-14. That's unfortunate. I'm 0-2 right now on my take 10 this week. That's not a good start. I had the over last night in Colorado and Georgia Tech. Probably could have hit the over if Georgia Tech didn't have 3 fumbles in the first quarter. But Georgia Tech gets the win, 27-20. Um, and
Haynes
then
King go ahead rushing touchdown, 45 yards with like a minute to go, minute
yeah, and
30,
then just
something like that.
a gross misuse of clock and time management in that game
Yeah,
to end it.
yeah.
They ran two plays from a minute and 7 seconds left, and at the end of those two plays, they had 18 seconds
It was
left.
like 20. Oh yeah.
It was ugly. That was not
I
good.
don't. Yeah, I don't understand that at all. I
Not
know
with two
that.
timeouts now.
Yeah, I know that Prime is not necessarily a coach that'll be like right up on it with the timeout after that first play. But I mean, you can't let all of that time tick
They only
away.
ran 4 plays in that minute. I mean, they could have
Yeah,
ran at least six, I
6 or
think,
7. Yeah,
and they just didn't get it done.
and
That
one of them
was that was
was Caden
unfortunate.
Salter, who got the first down, ran backwards to try to
Literally
evade and get
wasted
out of
12,
bounds. Yeah,
13 seconds across the field. It was just
yeah,
not. It was a lot of time wasted in that game last night at the
yeah,
end.
yeah.
Let's talk about moving on to another game last night. Auburn and Baylor. Auburn gets a 38-24 win over Baylor in Waco. I was very high on Baylor. Still am. I think Baylor's going to be good. But I'm really thinking this says a lot more about Auburn than we're willing to believe. This
Yes.
was impressive last night. And what was most impressive, I think, was the way in which Jackson Arnold was utilized. He ran for more yards than he threw, but they also ran for 308 yards.
Yeah.
He
They
had 16
outrushed
carries for
Baylor
137
by
yards, averaged 8 yards per carry, over 8.5 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns, added 108 through the air. Was just smart, took care of the football. I mean, that was if that's the Jackson Arnold we're getting all year, if that's the running game we're getting from Auburn all year behind that O line, this is a dangerous team. Certainly. And now I'm going to move over to Baylor for just a minute. This was not a bad game for Baylor. They took care of the ball. Their biggest issue was not being able to run the ball. They had about, looks like, about 80, 83, 84 yards rushing last night before you take away sack yardage for Sawyer Robertson.
Mhm.
419 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, no picks, 27 to 48. I mean, he was just over 50%. Wasn't great. Wasn't great accuracy wise. Wasn't making great decisions. But he didn't turn the ball over. Moved the ball down the field. Cole Wilson looked good. Michael Trigg is fantastic. That is probably one of the most underrated tight ends in college football. We certainly, a lot of people certainly figured it out last night that dude is for real. We saw Kobe Prentice have a touchdown reception, transferred in obviously from Alabama in the offseason. Josh Cameron got involved a little bit, 2 catches for 54 yards. Probably would have liked to see a little more of him throughout the night, but um, overall, like I'm not disappointed as much in Baylor as I am. I think I'm really just more impressed with Auburn.
Yeah, I think you have to be. I mean, this was an Auburn team that ended up run outrushing Baylor by over 200 yards, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah,
in the contest.
like
This was a
230,
team that
240 yards.
yeah, this was a team that established themselves in the trenches. They were able to be the better, team. I didn't really get to see a whole lot of Baylor getting pressure in there and blowing plays up in the backfield. Auburn was the team that, looked like they had the advantage pretty much from the word go. It was good back and forth for a while. Baylor tied it up, and then immediately after that, Auburn returned the kickoff for a touchdown, and they never trailed again after that. They built their lead up to 2 touchdowns. Baylor looked like they were going to have a chance to get within a score on their final drive, but came up short of the uh, touchdown on the fourth down play in the red zone, and so Auburn was able to kneel it out and get the victory. But this is an Auburn team that the biggest question marks I think have been answered. This is a team that if you're looking at, from the rest of the SEC perspective, if you're Oklahoma, you were lucky to get out of there and get that road victory last year with the pick six. Auburn, the biggest problem they've had the last couple of years has been quarterback. Now with Jackson Arnold in tow and the way that they were able to dominate up front and run the ball, they don't necessarily need a quarterback that has to do it all for them. They are going to be able to compete and I don't think that they're a team that we can necessarily write off in terms of being in the discussion for playoff. I
But
don't
they could
think that
certainly
they will
ruin
get there
somebody
because
else's chance.
yeah,
That's
well
that's
they
what
were
I've taken
part of
away is that they are not going to be the team that everybody looks at and says, "Hey, they're gonna win the SEC or they're gonna even make it to Atlanta." What I look at, and I'm like, man, we walk into that game, that Iron Bowl game, Auburn could walk in and absolutely
ruin
wreck Bama's
Alabama's chances.
shot
Yeah,
if that's where
they
we're
did it
sitting
to
at that point in the year.
they they did it to A&M last year
Yeah,
before it ultimately officially was knocked out by Texas the week
yeah.
after. But I mean, that was pretty much the what was going to hold them back if they
Yeah,
lost to Texas.
that
So
was the best line of scrimmage play I've seen since not Gene Chizik, but Gus Malzahn was there, and when they were
yeah,
really winning games too,
the
not
the
just prior to
the
his exit.
yeah the Nick Marshall,
That
Joe
yeah,
Mason,
it
the
reminds me of
2013
like the
team.
mid 2010s Auburn teams where
Yeah,
they could control the line of scrimmage and do what they needed to do against teams that they were just I don't want to say better than. I think Baylor's a really good team, but I just think they played better than Baylor and they
yes,
really did control the line of scrimmage.
absolutely.
Did a great job. Something that went unmentioned. We were talking Georgia Tech, Colorado. Just want to swing back real fast. 320 yards, 6.8 yards per carry for the Georgia Tech team as a whole in the game last night. 156 of those yards were brought to you courtesy of Haynes King with his 3 touchdowns on the ground. Had an
Yeah,
interception, by
ended
the
up
way. I said
rushing
three
for
first
more.
quarter fumbles. It was 2 fumbles and an interception last night in the first quarter. Doesn't really
Ended
change
up
that it was
rushing
three
for
turnovers.
ended up rushing for more yards than passing
Yeah.
yards last night, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah, he
too.
had
So
8.2 yards per carry himself. I mean, there's some
crazy.
impressive numbers here last night.
Yeah.
I really liked. By the way, this is just kind of an off-topic note here. They lost Malik Rutherford after the first drive. He didn't come back in the game yesterday. But I really liked. So Bailey Stockton, we kind of know what he is. We've seen him in the last couple of years become a bit of a star for this team. Eric Rivers was a guy I kind of talked about prior to the season starting. Need to keep our eyes on this guy because he can be a game changing player. He's a legitimate athlete coming out from FIU. And what he did last night, 2 carries for 34 yards and added 24 yards through the air. He wasn't anything crazy, wasn't incredible, but he had some plays and moments where I feel like Georgia Tech really needed them last night. That was something that stuck out to
Yeah.
me. So Eric Rivers is a guy that I'm really excited to watch him this year, see how he kind of adapts and plays into a role here for the Tech offense. But that's our
Yeah.
Friday night.
Yeah. What a fun Friday night. I mean, I'll tell you this, Tyler, and I don't mean to keep us too far on a
Very
left
good.
turn here, but Thursday was all kinds of crazy for me. So high school football, we talked about it a little bit last week when I was on the program with you.
What a game,
Um,
by the way, that
but
was with Lake Highlands.
yes, yes. It
We
was
could
almost
say
one
who
of
you
those.
who you call games for, right? I mean,
Yeah,
we could.
yeah. I call it. Yeah, yeah.
So
I was just say it's if you find me on social media, it's there. So
yeah,
why not?
but what a game to call. With your
It's
that's a big win
it's
because
a state.
if I remember correctly, 2 years ago, this Lake Highlands school knocked out Forney in the semifinals.
No, that was Lido.
That was Alito. My
But
bad. My bad.
yeah, it's all good.
But
It's all good.
they've had issues in the playoffs with Lake Highlands, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct, or am I missing
No,
that mark? Or
not Lake
regular season?
Highlands. We this the last 2 years we've played them to open the season both years,
That's
and
okay.
both games have been very close. Last year's game, uh, Forney got a game-winning touchdown pass in the final 30 seconds
That's
to
right.
win it
Okay, I
34-30.
remember this.
And
Yeah,
then this year, Forney goes up 10 with just about a minute to go. They're up 37-27. Lake Highlands goes down. They Tyler, they had a nearly 30 play drive in the third quarter that ate up pretty much every single second of the rest of the third quarter into the fourth. In fact, I mean it was the entire third quarter, but outside of our first drive of the third, and then the first play of the fourth was a touchdown run, um, and were an extra point away from tying it. They had a bad snap. They ended up going trying to see if they could get a 2 point pass away from their holder. His throw was intercepted and returned 100 yards the other way for two for the Jackrabbits, and so ended up turning what could have been a tie game at that time into a 3-point lead. We go down, we score a touchdown on the ensuing drive to make it a 10-point lead. And then it was just, they score, we score, they scored again. And then we scored with a minute to go to put ourselves back up 10 with like a minute to go, and thinking, okay, they've taken a lot of time to get these last two touchdowns. Um, it's going to be very tough for them to get 10 points. It felt like the capper. Well, they score a touchdown within 30 seconds, and then they recover the onside kick, but they get two final chances at it on their final play. They get sacked, and that's how the game ultimately ends with the Jackrabbits coming out on top. But it was another wild one, and the fact that it started nearly 2 hours late prevented me from essentially getting to see a whole lot of Thursday's action. But other than Boise and South Florida, there really wasn't too many things to take away, other than you get like a SEC blowout with Missouri beating UCA. That's
I ate a little
not
crow on that
necessarily
one
the
though.
biggest.
I ate a little crow on that one with Prabula. He was good. He looked good. Um,
Well,
Now I gotta see it against somebody else. I gotta see it against Kansas.
right. I was just
But
saying it's UCA. Well, let's not
well, yeah, of
necessarily.
course, and that's what I said during the. But I was like, man, I might have been a little wrong on that. Man, I don't know. I don't know
Well,
if
I was
again
gonna
we
say
talk
that
about it all the time,
that
like quarterbacks staying healthy and being able to run the ball the way some of
yeah.
them do, and I think he's going to be one of them. We're going to have to keep an eye on
I was
health
just saying.
wise,
I mean, you
and it's
go
going to
out
be a
there,
big
Sam
deal
Horn.
because Sam Horn went down on his first snap of the game.
Yeah,
It really never got a chance in this quarterback battle, which is unfortunate. Um, you don't want to see that, especially with a guy who's got a career elsewhere. He's got an MLB contract, or sorry, a minor league contract, a rookie
yeah,
contract on hand from the Dodgers. You never want to see somebody get hurt, and specifically a guy with a lot on the line like that. But it meant a lot to him to come back and compete for the starting job, and he competed all the way until this first game and was supposed to get playing time in this game,
yeah.
and unfortunately it was taken away. We saw Matt Zollers a little bit, the true freshman. He looked all right. It wasn't anything special. They didn't do anything special with him, but it was a nice little introduction to Matt Zollers. He is going to be very good when it's his time. I'm bought into Missouri, 100%. But it's not his time yet. So as we get into Saturday, BJ, before we start talking about games and stuff, I want to give you the opportunity here to do kind of what I did yesterday. I gave some thoughts at the end of yesterday's show about Lee Corso and what it's meant to me to grow up, be watching college game day every Saturday, him being the one on my TV and the guy that you look forward to that headgear pick every Saturday. You look forward to seeing what he had to say about your team. I mean, I know I did at least when, granted, I grew up a Michigan fan, but I grew up waiting for him to pick Michigan before I knew that Ohio State Brutus was his first headgear
First
pick.
love.
I waited for him to pick against Ohio State every time. Like that's what you look forward to on Saturdays. If you're a
Right.
fan of a team, you wanted him to pick your team, and you wanted him to not pick the other, or your rival. And he's meant so much to me on Saturdays, so much to the way I carry this, the way you learn a lot from your family, but you learn a lot from the people that you look up to in certain aspects too. And while I don't know Lee
Yeah.
Corso, neither of us do, um,
Unfortunately.
it's fair to say that we've taken a lot of how we do this show on Saturdays from the way he has presented College Game Day for so long. And while we weren't players, we've been around the sport long enough, we've watched the sport long enough that we know a good amount, and we are able to talk pretty considerably well about it. Um, so I just kind of want to hear your thought. I mean, again, a guy that you've grown up with just as much as I have,
Yeah.
even a little bit longer of your memory. What is today meaning for you as we walk out of an era?
I mean, yeah, it's one of those things that it's hard to fathom because it's it's one of those things that he's not on his top game anymore. It's one of those things we've seen him in the past couple years where you can tell he's lost a little bit off of his fastball, and and that's rough to see because he for so long growing up, like you said, it was even after his stroke, he was still very on top of things and able to still do the ultimate thing, which you know with this show and everything like that, as much as it is about the knowledge that we both have and when talking about it, it's also about entertainment. If we were just like boring humdrum, looking at like data and this is why we think this team is going to win, and you might learn something, but that doesn't mean you're going to be entertained, and you might not necessarily want to keep watching. So um that aspect, the showmanship, if you will, that's the biggest thing. And if you've ever, Tyler, I know you've been to a game day here in the last couple of years. The last time I went to a
Been at
game
two of
day,
them.
yeah, I was to say last time
Ha!
I went to a game day was 2019. I
Yeah.
haven't gotten a chance to go back, and so ultimately the last time that I went to a game day ended up being the Oklahoma Baylor game in
Yeah.
2019. So
Last time I went to a game day, I ended up in a hospital the night the night after. So, yeah, it was great.
yeah,
It
that's
was
right.
a
I
hell of a
remember that
memory.
now that you mention. Hell of a memory, right?
Yeah, but
No,
yeah.
but the the biggest thing for me is that it's there. There's been a lot of uh, things you like and things you don't like about the show itself over the years, and I mean, ultimately, when you've got 3 hours to fill with with talk and commercials and entertainment, everything like that, there are some things that are going to be more popular than others. And I think the segments with Coach, especially, um, you know, for early on, is what is going to live on, because I mean, all the stuff that sticks out to me over the years. The not so fast midget, uh, talking to the the kid at the Yale Harvard game, uh, that picked Yale instead of Harvard. The the f bomb, obviously the big debacle that has been talked about a lot here this year with SMU Houston at in 2011. Even just a couple years ago, it felt like he had a "these people don't give a shit"
Yeah, yeah, US
flip phone.
UCF and Cincy game.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that the funniest thing, that ultimately led to the Houston debacle, if you will, is because there was a time where they was trying to do the ultimate like fake out, but it all started. I feel like in 2007, the one of the first memories I have, because I didn't get into college football, like before I was almost late elementary, early middle school days. So um,
So you
my
actually started
my
watching college football after I did then.
I was to say the first time I really watched college football was the end of the 2005 season.
Okay, so around the
So,
same time
but
because I started watching
yeah,
around like now. Granted, I was only 6, so how much was I really watching?
how much
I
were you remembering?
but
Yeah,
I was watching football in '06. Like my first memory is the '06 Michigan Ohio State game.
yeah.
So
I mean, that was another good one too.
yeah,
Um, I don't know if I don't remember watching game day
I
before
remember
that
bits
because
and pieces of the or not OSU, the USC and Texas Natty game as well.
yeah,
That was the
it's
end of the
worth
'05
going
year.
back and
Yeah.
and rewatching. Obviously, I
I've
know you
watched it
probably
before.
have.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
just, but that's kind of like I remember being a kid watching that game, and yeah,
But the funniest thing to me was like the whole like fake out not so fast or whatnot was not even really a something that I think was scripted. He really genuinely loved being in Nebraska, being at Lincoln, and opening up the '07 season. Nebraska was hosting USC,
hmm
and he's got the corn in his hand. He's gonna put the corn headgear on.
yep,
Everybody's freaking out, screaming because
you too
he
right now.
loves Nebraska. And then he goes, forget about it. He throws the corn and he puts the Trojan
Yeah,
uniform on. He's like, I love you. I'm sorry, or something like that. Like
yeah,
that was just such a funny moment, and it was so authentic and genuine. And then they tried to play that up a little too much more. But some of the funniest moments was like he threw the Penn State head away uh, to fake everybody out, and then he still goes with the Penn State, like the
Yeah,
other like the two headgear.
yeah.
That's that was one of the funniest ones. But on a personal note, it was for me as a TCU guy, there was not a whole lot of moments where game day was going to a TCU game. There was a couple of times I think in the Mountain West days, maybe uh, a couple of Utah matchups, one at home, one on the road that they went to.
Well, like they went
Um,
to TCU and Boise,
yeah,
uh,
they did.
back a time or two. The Andy Dalton
I th-
days.
yeah, I think they
Andy Dalton
did.
and Kellen Moore, right? Then they play each other on that like a big deal at the
That
time, or
was
was
the
that a little late?
Fiesta Bowl. That was the
Oh,
Fiesta
okay.
Bowl when Dalton and Moore played.
Oh,
Because
I see. I keep forgetting that they didn't play each other because Boise was still whack at that time. So
yeah, though they
yeah,
played one time as Mountain West opponents. It was 2011, and Dalton was already in the NFL.
yeah. That
That was Paul
was
Hall, I believe, that was the quarterback for us. And
yeah,
that was Moore's last year. It was Moore's last home game, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong on that,
But as Cam
but
says here, I
TCU,
mean, the guy's one of one. There will never be
yeah,
another Corso, I've said it before.
right,
I think that they did a great job. They brought Pat in to be kind of that energy guy.
yeah.
They brought Saban in to be more the analytical. You
I
know,
mean, and that should
but
tell you right there,
it
Tyler.
works. You
That
need
should
two
tell you
people
right
to do
there.
what Corso used to do.
Exactly, exactly. That's exactly what I was gonna say. And so to real quick, just to finish off, you know, it was one of the coolest things in 2017 when he was about to pick his 300th headgear pick, and the all the speculation in terms of what the game was going to be, and it ended up being TCU hosting West Virginia in 2017, and so for him to be there, to be picking the Frogs as number 300 was just super cool. So
Yeah.
got to give credit where credit's due to one of the best to do it. And it sucks because he's not gonna be there. It was one of those things that he's missed more time over the last couple of years than he used to, especially like when he was doing the headgear at home in 2020 was a little bit weird not seeing him in that environment
But
with
they
all of
still like set it
those,
up,
but
man.
right, but they still had him a part of it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be different. It's gonna be weird. I know, like I said at the beginning, it sucks because he's not the same guy, and he's not quite as quick on his feet as he used to be. But he loves this. You could tell he loves being a part of game day, and wanted to really be in that environment, and the fans love him, and so it's he's going to be missed, even if there are certain things that um, just it's sad to see him in a in a state that,
Yeah.
because you remember how good he was when we were
It's not
kids.
sad to me. Like he's having fun. He's enjoying it. That's
Oh
what
yeah, absolutely.
like there's a lot of people that just need to sit back and shut the fuck up when it comes to
Right,
oh, Corso should have been put out 5 years ago. No. Was he
right,
having
yeah,
fun? Is he enjoying it? Is he
yeah,
still an enjoyable part of the show?
yeah,
The answer is
yeah,
yes.
yes. And if
So
if if
there's a lot of people in this world, and it does piss me off because to people are so worried about what everybody else is doing and everybody else is what it makes everybody else happy. They don't like seeing other people happy for whatever reason. That's probably one of the biggest thing that pisses me off in the world. And
life is fleeting, you
this
gotta
guy's
take
90 years
advantage of
old.
what makes
This
it.
guy's 90 years old. He's been on our TV since the 70s. He can do whatever the hell he wants and live his life however he wants to. If this is what he wanted to do, then this is what he wanted to do. And he gets to send off in Columbus where it all started, at least with in terms of the headgear picks. And so, you know what? Do what you got to do. Be happy. Enjoy your life. That's what you should really take away from this guy. Be a good person. Enjoy life, and don't take it too serious. That's all you got to do. Speaking of nothing, can
And
you
also,
just
don't call
fucking
dogs
quit?
ugly.
Seriously, how many times? It's like the old fucking kids, dude. Jesus. Anyways,
Anyways,
he's gonna be missed. There's gonna be some tears shed today. I'm not afraid to say it. There's gonna be a man tear or two
yeah,
shed today. While I'm drinking my beer.
there's gonna be some.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna,
there's gonna. I was
I'm
gonna
gonna be
say you.
crying in my beer, man.
I was gonna say who's been chopping onions over here, man.
But yeah, we gotta. It's amazing. I'm excited. Even if he does put on the Brutus 7 one more time. Um, I would be remiss a
I
little
can't
bit.
imagine that he's not going to. Like
I
even if
can't either.
he's
I just think it's gonna happen. Even if he doesn't believe it.
even if he doesn't necessarily, I already think he's made up his mind. And this morning, he said something about before the game day started. He said something about um, I love these fans or I love the Buckeyes or something like that. So
He did,
I
but then he
think
walked
he's
away and did one of these. So he walked away and did a
well,
horns up. So hey, it is.
well, well.
Um, but so speaking of which, it'd be a little remissive for me today, to not talk about an elephant in the room. Yes, I'm wearing a Penn State jersey. Why am I wearing a Penn State jersey? Well, it was my dad's team. My dad was. I'm not wearing the other team. I will not be wearing that garbage. I'll leave that to Coach Corso today. But my dad was a Penn State fan, a huge Penn State fan. And he had the opportunity to meet Joe Paterno. As a matter of fact, part of the stuff. For those that don't know, my dad passed away a couple weeks ago, and it's been a difficult time, but that's life. Things happen. It is what it is.
Damn it! Why are you getting me crying before
But
Corso gets me crying, man?
but when we were going through my dad's apartment, I found a lot of stuff, a lot of college related stuff, and my dad didn't go to college. Matter of fact, didn't even finish high school. He had a GED, which is whatever. He would probably laugh about me telling this story, but um, he was a Penn State fan, and there's a couple different things. So he had a commemorative ornament from Penn State from 1994, I believe. It was 93 or 94, one of the two. Um, had one of those commemorative ornaments they did. They don't do those anymore, to my knowledge, but they did them back then. And so that was kind of cool. I have that. I kept that. He had Penn State shot glasses. I have those. And then he had a couple jerseys. He had an Ohio State jersey and a Penn State jersey. Both of those meant something to me, um, because my dad took me to my first football game. He took me to an Ohio State game against Indiana. Why Ohio State? Because that's where we lived. We lived just outside of Columbus growing up, and that was what we could do. My dad wanted to take me to an Ohio State game. I said, "Yeah, let's go. I like football. Let's go." So we went, and we enjoyed it. We had a good time, and we both walked away. My dad bought us both a jersey. He knew I liked football jerseys. I had a Tim Tebow jersey that I wore damn near all the time, at least once a week. Every Friday, I was wearing that Tebow jersey while he was still in Florida. Um, and then he bought me an Ohio State jersey. It was a number 2, but we all know who number 2 was at that time. It was Terrell Pryor. Um, so I kept that jersey because he bought his own jersey, the same one that I had. So I kept that one. That's in the collection. I'm not gonna buy an Ohio State jersey now that I have an Ohio State jersey since I got one.
That's
But
fair enough. Yeah.
but yeah, so I have that, and then I also have he went on a trip. My dad was a paramedic, and they did like long transports for patients from hospital to hospital or from a hospital to home, and it just so happened that he had to go to Pennsylvania or go over that direction for something. And it might have been, as a matter of fact, if I remember this correctly, it might have been around the time my dad was given an award. He's a very accomplished guy as a paramedic, and he was given an award, and they had to go out to DC for this award. And on his way back, he went through State College and got 3 jerseys. They're all the same for the most part. The only difference was the youth jerseys had the stitched on numbers, and this one just has like the pressed on, like the heat press number. But they were all 3 the same. Penn State number 6. I can't remember who number 6 was at the time, but I think it was just a baseline jersey. And so we had Penn State jerseys. that matched, and I still have mine from when I was a kid. I don't remember where it's at, but I still have it here, and or I have it somewhere. I'm pretty sure, and I decided I was going to keep this one, and so in honor of my first week one or my first college football Saturday without my dad, I decided that today we're going to wear the Penn State jersey and honor him a little bit. He was um, just awesome, and we had a really good relationship towards the end, and I'm grateful for it because it wasn't always that way. Nobody ever has a perfect relationship with their family or parents for that matter, but um, we had a really good one towards the end, and I'm really mad at the world in some ways that I don't get the chance to have a continue that, but I'm grateful for the chances I got, and it's just really cool to be able to have this and have a day like today to think of them. So it's also the first day without my grandma, first college football Saturday without my grandma too, and it might have been more fitting to wear the Ohio State jersey just because of both of them, but I can't bring myself to do that. So we'll just have to wear this one and think about them both. I'll be switching over to my Michigan jersey later as we get closer to the New Mexico game, but yeah, it's an interesting day today, knowing that I don't get the chance to call either one of them and talk about what's going on. So, um, it'll be something. Add to the already emotional day with Coach Corso and everything else. It really is the end of an era for me as a college football fan. But they loved that I was doing this. My dad tuned in, and I'm just
today.
yeah, I'm just thankful to have the opportunity to do this, and I'm gonna certainly be carrying this on a long time because I know that they both knew how much I loved it, and I think that's the way they'd like it to be. So this thing, I don't care if this thing grows. I don't care if I ever make a dime off of this. I don't intend to, but if I do, it's awesome. So yeah, it's really cool, and just happy to have today be here. It's a much needed distraction from the world at the moment. So
Yeah, absolutely. Man,
with that
that hit
said,
a little. I was to say that hit a little close to home. So,
yeah,
'cause, yeah,
we
I was
go
to
into
say,
today with a new perspective on things.
yeah,
That's for sure.
yeah.
But
Oh,
we go into
gracious.
today with a lot of football to talk about, a lot more to preview, and we got games we're
Yes,
going to
we do.
preview a lot deeper. But let's just go through. Damn it! Can you two stop for 5 seconds? It doesn't. It's not fucking. It's not fucking eyeless playhouse. Jesus. All right.
Is it Pee Wee's Playhouse?
No. Never mind. I'm not gonna make the joke. That would be
You
taste.
could.
That would no. It would be very tasteless. I'm not gonna say it.
Uh,
So, anyways, uh, Pitt and Duquesne gonna be played in Heinz Field. Don't care. Don't tell. Don't come
yeah,
at me. Don't
I
talk to
know.
me.
It's what it'll
Uh,
always be.
no, but they'll be played in Ackerser. Obviously not a whole lot to look for there. Just Eli Holstein's health overall, coming off
Mhm.
the knee injury last year. See how he gets started. I got really high hopes for Pitt this year, so I'm
The
keeping my eyes
first
on
time
this
they're
thing.
play first time they're playing in 86 years. Obviously, I don't know if you know this, Tyler, but Duquesne is in
Yeah,
Pittsburgh, PA as
yeah.
well. So
So
it's a little,
Duquesne did their uniform reveal right in front of
yeah.
UP Medical Center. Right in front of it. Literally, you could see the fucking UPMC letters in the background, and they did it. Yeah, but
That's good.
yeah,
It's a 40.5 point favorite.
yeah,
Just
they're gonna walk. Boston
yeah.
College. You're a Boston College guy in a sense.
Well, I was to say
You're
they're
you're not
they're
helping them, but
they're
you're a Boston College
well,
guy in a
well,
sense. They got Fordham today. It'll be an interesting game. To kind of again watch a new look Boston College team. They've announced that it's going to be Dylan Lonergan is their starting quarterback, and rightfully so. And we're gonna see that era begin at 2 p.m.
Yeah, I
on
was to
ACC
say
Network.
he's not my quarterback even. Funny enough,
Because
in the
and
dynasty
that's why
I'm
you're
rolling
losing.
with. I've lost
And,
2 games, and they were both against competition I probably should have lost to.
well,
So
yeah, maybe. Anyways, Louisville against Eastern Kentucky. That's a typical matchup here. That's on ACC Network. Sorry, I misspoke. Boston College Fordham's on ESPN Plus. Pitt Duquesne's on ACC Network. As we see Louisville, Eastern Kentucky, that's going to be an interesting game. Watch Miller Moss make his debut out there in the Jeff Brom offense. We'll see how they roll. We'll skip that one or the next one there at 3:30 for a minute. 6 p.m. Virginia and Coastal Carolina. That's Chandler Morris' debut. It is also, if I'm not mistaken, and I don't know why I'm blanking here. Let me pull out some resources. For Coastal Carolina, it is a debut as well of a new quarterback, and I'm trying to figure out who we're looking at here. MJ Morris, former NC State quarterback.
NC State guy, right?
Spent some time over
Yeah.
there, so that'd be an interesting game. Looking forward to watching that one. I think Virginia is going to be able to win that game. They're pretty well set up. Game you're going to 9 p.m., 8 p.m. Central Time. SMU hosts East Texas A&M, or AKA Texas A&M Dallas.
No, not correct. Not even in the slightest.
uh,
Not gonna rage bait me today. It's week 1, damn it.
SMU
But
49.5 point favorites. Does does
and
does
they will
does
they
Texas
will
A&M
cover.
Dallas cover?
No, SMU will cover.
Okay.
It'll be if East Texas A&M gets a field goal to go up 3-0, I'm gonna take a picture and
Let's say
post
stop the
it and
count.
say eternal scoreboard, and then
Okay.
SMU's gonna rattle off 75 in a row.
Okay.
So
Then we
I
got
I say over, and I say SMU cover.
yeah. We'll see.
East Texas A&M is still in pretty bad shape.
Yeah, we'll see that Virginia and SMU game. Both those will be back to back, 6 and 9 p.m. respectively on ACC Network themselves, and then 10:30
Right after
p.m.
the AU Louisville game.
Yeah, 10:30 p.m. on ESPN. Our Pac-12 formerly After Dark. Cal at Oregon State's going to be interesting to watch as well. We'll be talking about that one for sure. Malik Murphy makes his debut. Devin Brown makes his debut for the Golden Bears. This game going to be played up in Corvallis. Interesting storylines on out here because it's just it's I think it's kind of make or break for Justin Wilcox this year, and unfortunately they lost a lot, but they do have Devin Brown. I think Jacob DeJesus is going to be pretty solid for them as well at wide receiver. They're going to be an interesting team to watch. They could win this game. I'm taking Oregon State because it is a road game. This game is going to be played in Corvallis, and I think Corvallis at night is underrated, if I may say so myself.
Yes.
It'll be an
the
interesting
1.5 point favorite. So they're giving a lot of to the home field for the Bees here, and certainly could be one of those toss-up type of games.
Certainly. Looking at the Big 12, we got a first kickoff is at 2 p.m. Eastern time. That's on ESPN Plus. That's Robert Morris at West Virginia. Homecoming?
The Bobs.
No, sorry, this is not.
No,
this is not App State.
homecoming.
Sorry, but no.
You're never gonna let that go.
No, fuck that, dude. That was the worst homecoming game I've ever fucking been to.
You want an easy win for homecoming, though. Let's be honest. Come on.
Yeah, you know what an easy win could have been for homecoming? You could have put Georgia State in there, and they would have walked away the same way. You could have done whatever you like. Play ULM for homecoming for all I care. Man, it's got to be a conference game. It's got to be a conference, and it's even better when it's a rivalry game that you schedule your homecoming on, because then people really show up. Yeah. People show up. That place is rocking. Robert Morris, do you know how bored out of their mind that entire stadium was in that game? I left after the first quarter. I'm not kidding. I was like, hey, I got better shit to watch. I'm leaving, and we did.
Yeah. And you go and get drunk and everything like that. That's the whole beauty of it.
God awful is what it was. That was terrible. One of the worst college football experiences I've ever had. And look, I loved App State. App State had so many fun memories. The UNC game was just unreal, unreal. But yet we got this. You know what pisses me off though? We were just talking about this. We were talking about Luke Combs' college game day. Emily and I were, which she did not let me come for that game because she's like, I'm working. I got all this stuff to do. Blah blah blah. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I'll just go hang out. She refused to let me be there, right? And so, of course, if you remember how that game ends, App State wins on a Hail Mary. I was so
Yeah.
fucking mad. I literally didn't talk to her the rest of the day. I was like, "Are you fucking?" I was like, "You absolutely screwed me out of a chance to see an amazing football game. Just pissed me off, man."
Oh my
But anyways,
goodness.
yeah, but yeah, she made me go watch Robert
Very
Morris and
entertaining.
App State at homecoming. Yeah, she doesn't get it. Okay, she doesn't get college football. That's for sure. But anyways, South Dakota, Iowa State. That's on Fox at 3:30. Couldn't find anything better at 3:30. Fox, come on. I don't want to watch this at 3:30.
I was gonna say there's not a whole lot of good afternoon options. The only one that's really of note is an SEC showdown
It
that we'll
is.
talk
Oh, it
about
is. Yeah.
later on.
But
But there's really not a whole lot
oh,
across the country to
that
talk
is
about.
true. That is right. Thank you, Cam. They did announce it. I missed that announcement, but or forgot about the announcement. But the Cal starter, Jerron Kiawe Sagapo Tele.
Thank you.
That's what I said.
I was gonna
That's
say put that into the Jill voice
yeah.
or whatever. See if she can say it.
Yeah. Uh, anyways, but South Dakota, Iowa State, 3:30 on Fox. Iowa State, 16.5 point favorites. It could be a closer game. South Dakota's not bad. The Coyotes are solid, but we'll see how that goes. Sorry, Cam. I know I said Coyotes. I know that probably triggered you a little bit. You'll be all right. North Dakota and Kansas State, another interesting game, 7 p.m. on ESPN Plus. Arkansas, Pine Bluff, Texas Tech. Texas Tech, 53.5 point favorites in that one.
Remember last year they opened against ACU, and it came down to the bitter end. I don't think it's going to be
Yeah.
that close this year for Texas Tech.
Yeah. Portland State, BYU, not even worried. I mean BYU's worried, but
There you
I'm
go.
not.
Oh, what was that? Oh, say it again.
Jaron Chaos
I don't think
That's
that.
what I said.
Yeah, I guess that's what
I
I
don't think
said.
that's.
I don't think that's what
I
I
don't
said, but
know.
I guess it's what I said. Anyways,
It translates from Samoan to English apparently, but
yeah, yeah. Um, Northern Arizona and Arizona State face off on ESPN Plus at 10 p.m. That'll be, yeah, that'll be something. Hawaii at Arizona, TNT. That's the debut for Big 12 on TNT here this evening.
yeah.
Gonna be an exciting one there. I think Hawaii's gonna stick around. I think Hawaii's gonna stick around. That game's sitting at 53.5. I like the over a lot in that game. We'll see how that goes.
Do we know the status if we're going to see Alejado if he's going to
I'm
be
pretty sure. I
closer
haven't
to?
seen anything wrong. Anything saying otherwise. So
I didn't know if he was still feeling the injury from last week or not.
thanks, ESPN. Thanks for fucking crashing when I clicked. You are useless. You are absolutely fucking useless. What in the
Hey,
hell, dude?
too much attention's going into what's on the linear product, so. Do have a
Yeah,
big
I don't
game
see anything
tonight
about
though.
Alejandro missing. Yes, we have Utah and UCLA. We are going to talk about that one right here. Fox, 11 p.m. debut for two quarterbacks. Nico Yamaliava makes his debut out there in Pasadena. Devin Dampier, along with his offensive coordinator from last year, Jason Beck, making their debuts as offensive coordinator and quarterback at Utah. Really excited for Utah. I think this team's going to be really good this year. Expecting a lot. We know what Kyle Whittingham and this team's defense is going to look like. The offense has been kind of the question mark. What are they going to be? Who are the
Yeah.
weapons?
A lot to
I think
prove
we're gonna.
after last year's disappointment of a season.
Well, but again, it's an injury riddled team over the last couple of years. They get a chance this year, and I think they're going to be fine. I'm expecting a lot here from Utah this year. Really high hopes. I think Utah's going to win. I think they'll cover that 5.5 personally. I think they'll
so
have
too.
a pretty solid start to their year.
I think if I remember right, the last I saw, Utah was a slight favorite on the road, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. It would be nice to see because the Big 12, outside of their conference game that we saw earlier this year, The Big 12 has yet to win a Power 4 matchup,
Oof.
and that's the only one today that we see. So we will see one more, TCU North Carolina. So hopefully we don't have to rely on the Frogs to be the TCU or the Big 12's hope.
Well,
Okay,
wouldn't be the first
let's
time.
what in the world? Utah wins, but Nico and a great value man. Bears keep it close. I don't know about that. I just don't know. I do like Javion Thomas though, or Javion Thomas. Did I say that right? I think I got it right. The running back who came over from Cal, the backup to Jay Knott last year. I like what they have. I just don't know. I think there's a lot of question marks revolving this program, and I think that Utah's had a little more time to kind of figure themselves out. Going to the Big Ten real quick. Let's start with the 12 o'clock games. We got Maryland and FAU.
Watch out.
I'm pulling it. I am pulling. I think FAU is going to win this game. I've said it for a while now, and I'm going to continue to say it. I think Caden Belkamp is good. I like Zach Kitley. This is a dangerous team in not only this game, but in the American Athletic Conference. Give me FAU to pull the upset on Big Ten Network later today. Hey, don't look at me like I'm fucking dumb. Stop. Jeez. All right. Ball State at Purdue. Purdue 16.5-point favorite. That's a little low, I think. I think they'll be able to cover that. I don't think
teams are
I don't think
pretty
Purdue's
bad.
well, yeah, but Purdue is not MAC team bad. You know what I mean? Like
No,
Purdue's going to be
no,
fine.
no,
They're going to win this game. They're going to move the ball offensively. They're going to score. They're going to look better than they probably are. But that's the way I think this game's going to go.
Yeah.
Northwestern and Tulane. Jake Retzloff announced as a starter, as a walk-on starter for the Tulane Green Wave today. Down there in New Orleans, that game's going to be, I think controlled. I think Tulane's gonna take this one over Northwestern today. The more I've looked into this game, the more I've kind of rolled that way. I like John Summerall. I think he's a great coach. I think we're gonna see a pretty convincing win out of Tulane today. Even we got Old Dominion, Indiana. Really not a lot to say there. Year 2 for Coach Sig. CBS at 3:30. Penn State, Nevada. Heard Jeff Choate said he was pretty excited to play where Joe Paterno once coached. Okay, I didn't know you could say that anymore. But
I was about to say.
I didn't know you could say that anymore. But I don't look.
Yeah. Better not be excited about the
No,
locker
don't.
rooms. That's all
Don't.
I'm gonna say.
No. Montana State at Oregon. Remember last year, Idaho hung around with this Oregon team in Autzen Stadium.
Yeah, we were worried after the first 2 weeks about Oregon, and then they went on undefeated in the regular season.
I think we are going to see a similar story today. Keep an eye out in this game because what I'm telling you is Dante Moore is going to have some first game struggles, and Montana State is not really a team that you want that to happen against, but Montana State is good, and they're gonna play close. They're gonna stick around. It's not upset alert, but it's certainly pushing. Remember, if you guys remember, I used to do this: upset watch, upset alert, or upset warning, and then we had the upset emergency, which is like, oh shit, like it's happening. I'd put it on upset watch, maybe. I don't think it's going to happen, certainly, but it's an interesting game. Albany and Iowa. Iowa's getting more points in this game than I think they can score. They're like a 38-point favorite. We'll see, though. It's a debut for Mark Gronowski as the quarterback, and Tim Lester has some serious plans for that offense this year. I think they'll be a team to watch. Missouri State, USC, 7:30 p.m. on Big Ten Network. That's going to be I think a pretty solid debut for Jaden Mayava as a
no
new.
longer an FCS FBS matchup, by the way.
Yes. Yep.
First FBS game from Missouri State.
Yep. And then we have Colorado State at Washington. That's part of my Take 10. Washington minus 21.5 covering on that one. We have obviously the big deal there. I forgot 7:30. I forgot it because it's at the top of my list and I didn't go back up. New Mexico at Michigan. Debut of Bryce Underwood. He's the first true freshman starting quarterback since Tate Forcier back in 2009. That didn't go well. But the guy before that, Chad Henne, was pretty solid. So
Yeah,
hopefully we'll be 3 of 4 on true freshman starting quarterbacks being pretty solid. But But yeah, no, I think Michigan's gonna be solid. They're gonna control this one. The right things have been said leading up to this one is what I will go with.
Yeah.
I'm gonna skip that noon game for a minute as we carry forward. Mississippi State Southern Miss noon on ESPN. That's a interesting place to put it, but maybe we're talking a little upset warning. Maybe look,
I think
Southern Miss
this is
has a interesting roster and has a team that I
yes.
think can actually hang around in this game and maybe even win it.
Yeah,
I'm
I was
not
gonna
gonna
say this
say
is
it's happening, but it's close. It could be close. I think that 14.5 is an interesting look.
I think this is a one of those patented struggle fest, struggle win type of deal. So
Yeah.
won't be a bit surprised if Mississippi State ends up pulling out a victory, but it will not be as easy as you think, unless Southern Miss, coming off the 1-11 campaign, just isn't ready for the second year of Levy and this Mississippi State company. I don't really I don't know if I like Mississippi State enough to take the cover play, but I don't know enough about Southern Miss to expect them to
Charles
really,
Huff and that new quarterback they brought in from
hold
Marshall
it
as well,
up.
Braylon Braxton.
Yeah,
They're looking good, and
yeah,
that's kind of the story there. They've got a really good secondary that Charles Huff was able to manage to keep there. I don't know if he brought some Tudor's biscuits down to help out or what, but
I
um,
like it. I like it.
not only that, if I'm not mistaken, I'm gonna double check this, but I'm pretty certain about something that I have read recently, and I'm gonna just confirm it with with my own mind, so that way I say this and don't say it wrong. Oh yeah, that's right. Offensive coordinator Blake Anderson. Obviously, you're not listening, but offensive coordinator Blake
No, I,
Anderson,
I, I was listening. I
formerly
was
of
listening.
Utah State, formerly of Arkansas State. I think they're going to be pretty good. I'm actually really excited
Yeah,
for Southern Miss. Think they're going to be a surprise team in the Sun Belt. They're going to have a couple years to really work it out, but I think Southern Miss is going to be an interesting team to watch. There's a chance at that game being a bit of a stunner. Speaking of games being a stunner, Tucker Gleason and the Toledo Rockets roll in
I think.
to Lexington today, and I don't think
Yeah,
it's going to
I.
be an upset, but they are going to keep this thing close. This is a 9.5 point favorite. Kentucky is. New quarterback Zach Calzada spent a lot of time at UIW. Clearly, was pretty solid at UIW because they look like shit after him. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But Zach Calzada takes his first start
He
back
was
in the SEC.
he was no Lindsey Scott Jr. I will say at UIW, but here's the thing. Calzada is manageable, but there's just, or I mean, he's not manageable in that sense. I mean, he's a game manager type of quarterback, but I just don't know if I like. Here's the thing. My expectations for Kentucky are low this year, but you ask Mississippi State, you ask Pitt, this Toledo team can come in and win a game if you are not at the top of your game. And so I very fully could see a world we're talking about Kentucky, one of the few opportunities they have for a chance to win this year, and they squander it away here this week. So
Former
I think,
Kentucky running back Chip Trainum rolling back
yeah,
into Lexington, by the way, with the
former Ohio
Rockets.
State running
Yeah, but
back
that's not what
first,
we're
but
fucking
yeah,
talking about. Because Toledo's not
I
playing Ohio State;
know.
they're playing Kentucky.
I Wow, my goodness! You see how he treats me? I don't know why you asked me to come on this damn show. You
Yeah,
treat me this
go
way.
cry somewhere else. Anyways, we move on. Marshall gonna walk into an ass whooping, I think, today down there in Athens. Look, that team is really questioning what they've got, and I don't know who the starting quarterback's gonna be. Whether it's gonna be Carlos Del Rio
Well,
Wilson
they know.
or if it's going to be um, man, why am I blanking here? Dude, I know the name, and I'm blanking. It's Zion. He was literally at Zion Turner. There we go. Jeez, that was
Turner.
more difficult than it needed to be. Um, but it'll be interesting to watch Marshall kind of what they look like, how they play in this first game. But I think Georgia's gonna win, and I think there's a lot of kinks to work out if we're talking about We're talking about the Georgia offense. Look, this is a team that had the most drops in college, at least in the Power Four, to my knowledge, last year. I'm pretty sure in the SEC, being that's the Power Four. But they had a lot of
Yeah.
drops last year in the receiver position. They bring in guys like Zachariah Branch to help out with that. They got Noah Thomas from Texas A&M. They are looking for a really big bounce back year in the passing game. But not only that, they're looking for a bounce back in the run game. They went out and got
Yeah.
Josh McCray from Illinois. They have some guys on this roster that I think are going to really, I think, succeed running the football and kind of put this team in an interesting spot going forward. I'm trying to look here, make sure.
So
Nate Frazier was the other guy I was looking for. He was a freshman last year, looking to kind of continue. I think I think Georgia's gonna open up a can here. Look, they don't normally cover these spreads, but I think there's just too many things they need to work out that they have to do something. They don't have to open it all the way up, but they definitely have, I think, a chance to really push that forward.
I mean, here's the thing, that's the biggest thing that really prevented them from taking that next step up. I mean, here's the thing, we're talking about last year for Georgia as almost a disappointment. They were a playoff team. They won the SEC, championship game against Texas. They beat Texas twice last year, but yet they could have been so much more with with a few less drops and a few,
And
more
this year,
opportunities running the ball like better if they could have done that.
and
But
this year they host Alabama, Ole Miss,
Bama,
and
Ole
Texas.
Miss,
All
and
the
Texas.
the
Yeah,
three teams that they had some issues with last year, they host all of them.
yeah.
They didn't lose
The
all
two
three of
games
those
they
games, but
lost. No.
they controlled Texas for the most part. But
Yeah.
like still, that's a big deal this year as well. They get to host it, so
Hmm.
we'll see how that one goes. We'll move forward here again. For that game, by the way, 3:30 p.m. on ESPN. At 4:15 on SEC Network, we have Arkansas, Alabama, A&M. Cool. Thanks for
And then at
playing.
6 o'clock.
Thanks for
Yeah,
your $1
at
million,
6 o'clock.
Arkansas. At 6, we have ESPN Plus hosting John Mateer and his debut at Oklahoma with Ben Arbuckle as a new offensive coordinator. They know each other pretty well, to my knowledge. Yeah, by the way,
Yeah.
they were. For those who don't get the joke, that was quarterback OC duo at Washington State last year. They're going to get their opening shot against Illinois State. Florida gets Long Island on ESPN Plus at 7 p.m. Texas A&M UTSA at 7 o'clock on ESPN. That'll be an interesting game. Jeff Traylor had some interesting comments earlier this week about the transfer portal and how it has essentially.
Jeff Traylor
Hey.
was rumored to be in contention to replace Jimbo Fisher at A&M after the success he had a few past couple of years over at UTSA. There was a lot of talk about him taking another job and getting a big pay raise, and ultimately what led to him getting a long-term extension at UTSA.
Yeah.
So
Vanderbilt and Charleston Southern play at 7 o'clock on ESPN Plus, and then we have 7:45 kickoff for Ole Miss and Georgia State. That'll be an interesting opener. Austin Simmons makes his debut tonight for the Rebels. We've seen a handful of games. Of course, we have tomorrow Virginia Tech, South Carolina. Take place at 3 p.m. I forgot to mention in the ACC when we talked about them, Notre Dame and Miami play tomorrow as well. On top of
we'll
that,
talk about those tomorrow.
we'll talk about them tomorrow. Yes, but just saying that we're not forgetting them. We just know that they're tomorrow. They're not going to take center stage because we have a show tomorrow. If you don't know, we're live at 10 a.m. tomorrow, recapping everything from today, and then we are going to preview tomorrow's games. Monday, I will be previewing the TCU game, a TCU UNC game. I'm not in depth because we got to focus on week 2 as well, but we'll have a little bit to talk about there. Moving on, we have the American real quick. We're going to roll through some of the games we haven't talked about. Navy plays VMI. They're 41.5-point favorites in that one. Blake Horvath gets to set off Heisman campaign, maybe. I mean, I'll push the Horvath for Heisman campaign, that's for sure. Temple at UMass. Temple's a 2.5-point favorite, but Joe Hirosimiak, that's his debut as the UMass head coach. It's also Casey Keeler's debut as the Temple head coach. It's going to be a fun game to watch. I will not be watching it live because there's other things I need to pay attention to. But ESPN Plus, 3:30 p.m. I will certainly be taking a look at that game because I'm interested to see both these teams. I think this is a new regime on both sides. We really haven't seen Temple be good in our lifetimes outside of the Matt Rule era for a little while. As for UMass, we have never seen them be good, so we are really interested to see if things can
Right.
turn around there. This is a team that has yet to make a bowl game, to my knowledge, in their time in the FBS. So that's the storyline there. We got Chattanooga and Memphis. Memphis a 29-point favorite. I got that in the take 10 at 27.5. I love Memphis today. I think they're gonna roll. They're gonna roll out Brendan Lewis as their starting quarterback and have a blast. Transferred in from Nevada over the offseason. We got Rice at Louisiana. I loved Louisiana minus 11.5. That's now down to 10.5. I still love it. I think Louisiana's going to cover. Walker Howard debuts today for the Raging Cajuns. Lamar at North Texas. Cool. I actually don't even know who I shouldn't say that, but I really don't remember who the quarterback is for North Texas going into this year. I feel like I should. I feel a little fraudulent not knowing.
Yeah,
But
I was about to say, is it? It's not Morris anymore because he transferred out again. But so they got a couple options. Probably going to be their senior Reese
yeah,
Poffenbarger.
I think it
The
is
other three,
Poffenbarger. I think I've
freshmen.
seen him be announced as a starter already. But
Yeah, the
then
other
we
three are
got
freshmen.
we
So
got Abilene Christian at Tulsa.
cool.
Let's go ahead and throw one in for Abilene Christian here. Trey Lamb, you're about to learn that it ain't quite as simple as it may look. I think Abilene Christian, that's a team that took Texas Tech to the wire last year. They're always consistently
Yes.
solid. They are consistent in their play. I think it's possible we see ACU get the win there. Conference USA, we got Maine at Liberty. That's a debut for Ethan Vasco as a new quarterback for Liberty. Vasco, formerly of Coastal Carolina fame, was recruited by Jamie Chadwell to Coastal Carolina. Reunited after the Caden Salter era up there in Lynchburg. Austin Peay goes to Middle Tennessee State. Cool. North Alabama, Western Kentucky. Interesting. Maverick MacGyver had a good week last week. We'll see if he can continue that. Southeast Louisiana against Louisiana Tech. We got UTEP and Utah State. That'll be a fun one. Utah State comes in as 5.5-point favorites out there in Logan. That game will be starting at 7:30 on CBS Sports.
Yeah, I was about to say that's instead of a Mountain West Conference network kind of game, that's a big network almost.
Okay, but then we got Bryant and New Mexico State taking place here. We got Central Connecticut at UConn. That's our independent game for the day. Obviously, we talked about Miami Notre Dame already. We'll preview them again in depth tomorrow. The game's on Sunday tomorrow. Other than MAC, we go through Merrimack and Kent State. If I'm not mistaken, Kent State lost to their FCS opponent last year, and if I'm not mistaken, it was something to the tune of Merrimack, but I might be wrong.
I thought they beat Merrimack, and that was their only win.
Sorry, they lost to St. Francis last year. I say that every time.
Oh.
They lost to St. Francis, PA last year, but they went 0-12 last year, BJ. So they didn't beat shit other than themselves.
I did not remember they went 0-12. That was
We got Holy Cross in Northern Illinois. Northern Illinois begins their final season as a part of the MAC before they jump ship to the Mountain West. And then we have Eastern Michigan and Texas State facing off. Texas State, 13.5-point favorites down there in San Marcos.
I like it. Over the Emus.
Yep. Mountain West, we move on. We've talked about a little bit. Air Force plays Bucknell today. Georgia Southern at Fresno State. Georgia Southern walks in as a 1.5-point favorite over the Bulldogs, but I think there's going to be a bounce back this week. They didn't play quite as bad as they looked against Kansas, but Georgia Southern walks in with a really good team as well. I think Southern's going to win, but I would not be surprised to see Fresno take a win on their home field. We've seen quite a few games today over the course of the week. We've seen 5 so far. The Mountain West walks into today in their games 3-2 so far in week 1.
Okay. And UNLV is responsible for 2 of those 3.
Yeah.
Nearly 2 and 3 though.
Yeah. What do you mean UNLV's are responsible for 2? Well, yeah, yes, but I'm talking about just this week alone in week 1.
Yeah, okay.
Not last week, so.
Gotcha. I get you.
Yeah. So Idaho and Washington State are your Pac-12 matchup that was not already talked about. We talked about Oregon State playing Cal. Then we move to the Sun Belt. We have
JMU,
Weber
maybe?
State, JMU. That's going to be 6 p.m. on ESPN Plus. Southeast Missouri against Arkansas State at 7 p.m. Morgan State and South Alabama at 7 p.m. Again on ESPN Plus on all these, unless I tell you otherwise. Troy and Nichols. Nichols looked good last week, by the way, and Troy
Mhm.
is questionable. But that's about it from what we haven't already talked about. So that covers your entire day here today, other than
Yeah,
our big games, and we have a few of them, of course.
quite a few.
We've
Yeah.
got two that we really want to talk about, and then we've got the other ones that are certainly in the conversation. Let's go ahead and start with that noon kickoff game here and get through some of this here. Um, we got Tennessee and Syracuse at noon on ABC. That's going to be kind of the appetizer to the day. In some cases, obviously, we have a bigger game at noon, but it's certainly in the conversation. And Tennessee walks in as a 13.5 point favorite. It's going to be interesting. The debut of Joey Aguilar at Tennessee, the debut of Steve Angeli at Syracuse. It's going to be a game of learning a lot about both these teams. I think it's going to be lower scoring. We sit the over under at 51.5. I'm loving the under right now. I think these two teams are going to kind of struggle it out.
Yeah.
But I think Tennessee ultimately pulls away. I have Tennessee winning this game 23-14. BJ, what do you got?
Yeah, I I really like the under play in this game. I'll be honest with you. I'm not necessarily sure what to expect from Joe Aguilar as the Tennessee quarterback. I think he's got a little bit more weapons available to him than the Syracuse team does. Syracuse, I think, is well coached enough that they can hang around and make this one interesting. I've got Tennessee pulling this one off, but I think Syracuse does indeed end up covering. So give me the Vols, but I definitely could see a little bit of this one going either way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I saw some news yesterday. I'm trying to make it a bit of a confirmation of this. Um,
Excuse me.
yeah, so Jermon McCoy, this is a big deal. Will be missing at least this game, and he's expected to miss a few games early in the season, which is problematic because it could include the Georgia game in Week 3.
Hmm.
Um, so wishing a speedy recovery for Jermon McCoy, but
Yeah.
that's certainly something we're going to be watching as a Tennessee secondary and how they look. I expect good things. I think they've looked good the last couple of years. We're coming to expect a good defense out of the Vols. So hopefully it's not as big of an impact as it seems like or has been presented as, but it's a storyline to watch out of this game. Moving on, we'll talk about another game real quick. Kind of another quiet matchup
Sneaky.
given everything else we've got to talk about today. Alabama and Florida State down there in Tallahassee today. Thomas Castellanos has had a lot to say over the offseason about this game and about the Florida State Seminoles walking in and winning this game even. Alabama walks in as a 13.5 point favorite, but they walk in with plenty of question marks themselves. The defense
Hmm.
certainly has some questions, including some injury concerns early in this season. But on top of that, they walk in with question marks at quarterback, and when they're also questioning their quarterback Ty Simpson whether or not he is truly going to be the guy, you'd love to have a running back that you can trust, and Jam Miller was that, but he is going to be out for this
Yeah.
game as well. He's going to miss at least until Georgia's when they expect him to be back. Jam Miller missing this game, I think, is a big deal. I think that changes a lot of the tune of this game. I like Alabama. I think they're going to win this game, but we're talking it could very well depend on what Florida State's defense looks like, how this game plays out. If they can create some problems, this is a bit of a dangerous team to mess around with. I think early in the year, Florida State went 2-10 last year. We've all talked about it. We all know about it. But this is a better team, I think, this year. I think they're together. They have a different mindset going into this year, and I think that the attitude is back for this team. Thomas Castellanos has some weapons. They got Deuce Robinson. They have Squirrel White, amongst others. This is going to be really interesting to watch. I think Florida State is going to stick around in this game. I'm taking Alabama to win. I think it's going to be another low scoring game. What the over under sits at, as I see now, is 48.5. I have Alabama winning this thing by a score of I think we're going to sit here and talk about a 26 17 victory for the Tide.
Yeah, you remember Tyler a few years ago. There's always, it seems like there's always room to get Bama when there's QB question marks early in the year. 2023, Texas goes in week 2 and wins that game. When there was a little bit of some question marks with Jalen Milroe, and obviously he ended up being the guy in a big way and everything, but there were still enough question marks that you saw what they did in week 3 and didn't play him, and it was even almost even worse for them. Even in 2021, before Bryce Young had really established himself, there were some question marks about Bama, and I want to say that they uh, took their only uh, loss before the Natty in the early portion of the season. I'm trying to remember. Um,
I'll find it for you. Carry on what you're
yeah,
talking.
that's ultimately the only thing that whether I'm misremembering or not. Um, but this is a team
They
in
lost to A
Alabama
and M
that
on October
they
9th. That was the
all right,
late the field goal, the game winning
yeah,
field
the
goal at
walk
the end
off
of it.
winner
Yep.
from Little, yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Relatively early in the season, but not this early. Um, Alabama has more talent. Florida State, I think the biggest question is how much does this team buy in. They went and raided the portal after the 23 season for 24, and the transfers came in. Were not really, buying into the FSU brand, the FSU identity. They weren't really, wanting to play together, play as a team, and that was part of what sunk them last year. And you could tell they checked out after, very early in the season, maybe even after week 2 when they lost to both Georgia Tech and BC back to back. Um, I don't believe that Florida State is going to have that problem this year. I don't know that I think that they're going to pull this one off outright, but I think that they're going to be close enough that Alabama is going to survive a scare. I'm going to take Bama to win, but Florida State covers the 13.5 at home in Tallahassee in the new Doak Campbell.
Bitch made. You don't even want to give a score prediction? Outrageous.
I I don't want to give a score prediction because I have no idea.
Because you're a bitch.
I could tell you I could pull something out of my
Yeah.
butt, but
That's what I do. Come
well,
on, man.
I was
Put a
to
fucking
say,
number on
let's do 27-24 then.
Okay. All right. What about the other one? Tennessee, Syracuse. What do you got?
Tennessee wins this one 28 to 20 28-20.
I'm just writing down here.
All right.
What do you do? 28 to 20?
28-20 for Tennessee Syracuse,
Yeah.
and then 27-24 for Bama over Florida State.
26 to 17. You put 27. 24. Keep an eye on these, man. Maybe what if we get them right? I mean, hell, dude, we look like geniuses.
I was about to say if
I mean, I remember one time when I did that. Anyways,
you're still bragging about it to this day.
I will.
If only we had. Good Lord Almighty!
Is that thunder?
Yeah, just lightning and right like almost right outside the window
Damn.
just a second ago.
You're about to meet Dorothy and Toto. Just kidding.
in 8D, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, something. Texas at Ohio State.
I'm watching back the replay on the YouTube live, and you can see the flash of lightning right
Yeah.
next to me off the wall.
Texas and Ohio State
Oh my goodness!
in Columbus. Game days there. Storylines are crazy.
Games
You know,
there.
two first time starters, Julian Sayin, Arch Manning. Storylines are all throughout. It's a big game. It's a big time matchup. Number 1 comes in and faces number 3. A first time starter has never won a game against a number 1 team, at least not since 2010.
Not in Ohio State's history.
They're 0-16 since 2010. First time starters against the number 1 team in the country. We look at this game today, and I'm not worried about any of those storylines. I think those storylines are bullshit and a bunch of, how many of those first time starters were like for fucking Mercer. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
like, I'm not trying to talk shit, but seriously, like, how many of those first time starters have been for, Charleston Southern
Right.
or whatever? So when we
Yeah.
look at this here, this game comes down to a couple of things. Who do I trust more on offense? And really, what do I trust of the defenses? Like, of course, there's a different look for Ohio State defensively with Matt Patricia as the defensive coordinator. But not only that, they got four defensive linemen that they love, but they have only four defensive linemen that they love. There's not a lot of depth in the Ohio State D line room right now, which is a surprise. So you wouldn't expect that with Larry Johnson. There's a bit of depth problem in the linebacker room themselves. Injuries will take a toll on this team. Injuries are going to happen. We don't wish for them, but they are going to happen. And those injuries are going to be interesting, I think, to see how they play out and how they affect this defense. We've seen NFL coordinators come down to the college level and struggle early. I think that's going to be a thing today. I predicted this game earlier this week, and I'm sticking to what I said. I think Texas wins this thing 30-21. The over hits at 46.5. But Texas gets the job done.
Yeah. Here's the thing. This is going to be a very tough test for both these teams. Julian Sand coming in for Ohio State is got to have a lot of question marks to be answered, and this is definitely not a team that you want to have to have any question marks against, because Texas has such a good upfront pressure. They're going to be trying to make his life a living hell today, and trying to take the crowd out of it very early on. I expect that Ohio State is going to be able to hang around, because I don't think these teams are too far separated that this game is going to be one sided or either way. I think this will be a team, a game that comes down to the smaller, more minute plays, the little differences in the game, and who takes that extra step, who gets that extra inch or whatnot, and really the battle in the trenches, what I think is really going to decide this game, and I think that's where the edge goes to Texas. I think Ohio State certainly has a chance to pull this one off. I'm not going to be a bit surprised either way, but for the purposes of this, I'm going to take Texas 21, Ohio State 20. I think this is going to be just a very, very close game ultimately.
All right, we'll go down to the game that I think has the biggest impact on the season today. This is game one for Clemson and LSU, and LSU has had their noted problems in week one over the last couple of years, especially in the Brian Kelly era. This is a game that opens up a Heisman Trophy campaign for a quarterback who wins this thing. Whether or not that is Cade Klubnik, whether or not that's Garrett Nussmeier, I don't know, and I really don't care who wins it. I care
Right.
because this is a huge matchup tonight on at 7:30 on ABC.
Yes.
I think what's going to ultimately happen is we're going to see the Cade Klubnik that we saw at the end of the year last year, making a lot of plays with his legs, being willing to run the football, but not only that, being capable of moving the ball downfield. I think Tom Allen's defense is going to look really good. I love this defensive line. This front seven even is really good. And on top of that, you got a secondary led by Avion Terrell, who I think is going to be very good, maybe one of the best cornerbacks in college football this year. I got Clemson getting the job done, 27-21 at home, claiming the ultimate rights to Death Valley.
And the Tiger Bowl, so they get to keep the Tiger and the Death Valley nickname. Um, I expect both these offenses to have a really good day. Now, I'm not saying that the defenses are not going to make plays when it matters most, and I give the edge in that respect to the Clemson defense. I think they're going to be the ones that ultimately make a couple more stops. I think Cade Klubnik and this Clemson offense are going to pick up kind of where they left off in the from the last couple games of last year. They were really clicking on all cylinders, and this is a Clemson team I think is going to prove for real. Uh, and the questions about LSU and season openers will not be um, answered here in terms of whether or not they have the capability. I think that the streak goes to six straight years that LSU starts off with a loss in their first game. I'm going to take Clemson to win this one 35-31 over the LSU Tigers.
Now, lastly, we're going to get this out of the way. Upset of the day. I'm going to take the liberty of going first. I'm going to pick FAU over Maryland. I think that's going to be the storyline. We're going to go by Vegas odds, by the way.
Yes.
But it must be a 7 or more point spread. So it must be, sorry, a 6.5 or more point spread. Need to be favored by at least a touchdown to get it done. I'm taking FAU over Maryland plus 13.5 in that one.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I'm looking at a couple of these games we were talking about that I expect to be pretty close, a lot closer in terms of the spread picks than what Vegas is doing. But I don't know if I necessarily want to pull the trigger on any of those. So I think what I'm going to do, I think I am going to go down here and I'm going to say that I'm not necessarily sure I buy this game. I'm not necessarily sure that I think that this will be an upset, but I think it's very likely, and I will go ahead and pull it. I'm going to take Toledo plus 9.5 over Kentucky as my upset pick for the day.
All right. So we'll keep track of these upset picks, and we will let you know who ends up ultimately winning.
We'll report back tomorrow.
We will. But we'll let you know who ends up winning at the end of the year. We're going to do this every week. We're also going to do these picks every week of we're going to pick 4 games that are going to be the biggest. We're going to talk about them as well. But what we're also going to do, and this is the last part of this, and you can join along, by the way, on this part. That would be on ESPN's College Pick'em. I'm going to post a link here down below in the chat, and make sure you join this College Pick'em group. Make sure you get your picks in. It was about noon today. But we're going to go through our College Pick'em and
Yeah.
make our picks for today's games. And while I sit here and try to make certain that my volume is turned down, so when I turn this on and put this in the chat, that I am not doing anything crazy. But there is the link down below, as it's posted in the comments. And we're going to go through these 10 games that they give us every week, and we're going to tell you what our picks are. So we got Texas, Ohio State. We've already made that pick. Texas for both of us. Tulane and Northwestern. I'm rolling Tulane.
I'm rolling Tulane as well.
All right. Utah State and UTEP. I'm taking Utah State, even though I'm going to think it's going to be a close game. Scotty Walden has an interesting quarterback, Malachi Nelson, former 5-star, taking over the reins of that offense. Could be interesting, but I'm going to take Bronco and the Aggies.
Hey, what do you say? Utah State all the way. Roll Aggies.
All right. Georgia Southern at Fresno State. I'm going to take Georgia Southern.
I'm gonna go Fresno. I think Fresno has a little bit of bounce back.
All right. Hawaii at Arizona. Rolling Hawaii there. Or Arizona, sorry. Arizona.
Yeah, I was
So
about to say Arizona. I think is able to defend the home field just enough and take down the Rainbow Warriors.
All right. Cal and Oregon State. I'm gonna take Oregon State on the road or at home. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm taking Oregon State. They got blown out on the road last year. I think there's a little bit of a prove it revenge statement type of deal for Oregon State. I think they win a close one.
All right. Utah and UCLA. I'm taking the Utes on the road in Pasadena.
Yeah, I'm also with the Utes as well. And what is a Ute?
Sunday game. We got 2 of those. Virginia Tech and South Carolina in Atlanta, not at. It's going to be South Carolina South there, but
Yeah.
I think Shane Beamer and the Cox get it done.
I'm rolling with the Gamecocks as well. I think that this is. I'm really interested to see what Frank Beamer what gear he's wearing. I think
Carolina.
He's gonna rock Carolina gear, but
He does. He
wouldn't it be
always
cool to
does.
have
So
a
I think it's
little
going to
bit of
happen.
both?
Maybe, but we'll see. And then we got Sunday night, Miami, Notre Dame. I'm taking the Hurricanes. I think I'm going to trust in the Shannon Dawson style. I'm going to trust in Carson Beck as the more experienced quarterback. I'm going to trust this Miami offensive line. I think that's going to be the story of this game. How well Miami can control and hang around at the line of scrimmage, especially on offense. I'm going to take the Canes.
So this is where I've been a little bit back and forth. I know what I said in our group pick 'em, and I may change my mind on that. I Mario Cristobal to me is the kind of coach that he does have some struggles in these games. Notre Dame, I'm leaning towards here at this case for right now. Um, I think Miami's going to be really good, and I think getting Carson back was kind of the next step after losing Cam Moore to keeping this team a true contender for this year. But something just tells me to trust what Coach Freeman's been able to do in these big atmospheres. So I'm leaning Notre Dame for right now. I picked Miami in the other group. I'm gonna stick with my Notre Dame pick, and I may ultimately change it in our group as well tomorrow. So
Yeah, absolutely. But we got a big day of college football. It's 11:45, a little later than we wanted, but we're still before game day starts doing their thing. We want to get out of here so we can
yes,
see
sir.
this. But I mean, it'd be remiss if we didn't close this thing out. Thank you to Lee Corso.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you for being a part of our Saturdays for our life. I mean, this has literally been our entire life of watching college football that we get to
Yeah,
we do experience this, and it's been special. So thank you, and wish him all the best in his time post game day,
enjoy
post
retirement,
ESPN,
Coach.
post television, and ready to roll on. We'll be back tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern time. We'll be just pretty much the same thing we're doing here, except recapping everything we'll see today. And I
Yep.
believe we're going to have a lot to talk about by the time that's over. So for today, let's enjoy
Thanks
it.
for watching.
Week one's here finally.
We're back.
Um, yeah, for today, go Penn State. And we'll have a we'll be back again tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern time, with another live show here on the channel. So appreciate it if you're new around here. Leave a like, subscribe, comment down below, and again, we'll see you guys in the morning.